our brand focus in 2025 is customer connection, and is how do we create a deeper connection with our staff and our customers? Because with the exception, Shaun, of the Cabana, customer service and sales, no other team here talks or touches our customer. And that's a wild thing to think about. And so how do we fix that?
Welcome to the Culture Goodr podcast, a behind the shades look at creating and changing culture inside of Goodr sunglasses.
All right. Welcome back to the Culture Goodr podcast. Today, we're going to talk about our brand focus of customer connection, specifically how it's been a challenge to shift our focus from our constant internal culture, what we're up to internally, to external connection with our customers. Before we get too far down that road, I know we've done episodes on this before, but briefly, Stephen, can you just define what do we mean by brand focus and how do we use it at Goodr?
For sure. So starting in 2020, we started having a yearly brand focus. Every year we pick one thing as a company to focus on and work towards. It's kind of like a thematic goal where we look around and be like, all right, well, what is in the best service of the brand? What do we need to work towards? What do we need to solve? So in 2020, we were really focused on clarity, making sure everybody understood our goals. This is when we really got really clear on what our values meant and behaviors. I would actually roll transparency underneath that in hindsight. So an entire year of initiatives. All right, let's get clear on who we are as a brand. What does success look like? That was 2020. And then in 2021, it was vision, making sure that we were always looking towards the future, realizing that being a little too reactive. 2022, our focus was scale. And that was the first time we were growing as a company. We started really investing in operations. So created the acronym NASA: Insights, Agility, Scalability, Accountability. So, started really actually making the brand focus kind of thematic and fun. In 2023, it was fundamental excellence. And now we use that as our onboarding. So it's communication, professionalism, and vision. And this year is customer connection. So it's just a way for us, hey, what do we need to work on as a company that we can focus on, we can galvanize, work as a team together and work towards. And so every year we have a brand focus, and this year it's customer connection.
Mm-hmm. Can you share the moment you realized that that's what we needed to focus on?
October, I started thinking about what it's going to be. We've talked about the brand directive on a flight to Hong Kong. I started defining every word in our culture. Even unifying our culture, right? It's what do we mean by culture at Goodr? Because I think that a lot of times people, like the royal we, everybody, they think culture is just like the stuff. They don't understand it's the total, right? They think it is just for Goodr. It's like the TWCs and it's the onboarding, but really our culture is everything. It is, and so I'm like, well, let's start by defining what we mean by culture. And at Goodr, we define our culture as the behaviors, rituals, mindsets, and anchors of our team. And then I went through and I defined behaviors, rituals, mindsets, anchors in our team. And in there, you're realizing hey, we have 4 anchors. We're a product company, we're a marketing company, we're an operations company, and we're a people company. And I think the rub is most people just think the people anchor in there is culture, and realizing no, we make really great product. We are how we do product is part of our culture. How we do marketing, right? How we create content, fun activations, how we put on events, operations, how dialed we are there. These are all part of our culture. And it's easy just to think culture is Goodr stock, and it's how we are decorated the office, and it's AMP, it's our quarterly reviews. It's no, culture is the total. Because I started peeling this back, and then I got this feeling. I think when you run a company like Goodr, that we care so much about the people, we care so much about personal development. At times, it's easy to forget, and people think that we're a personal development company that makes product, when in fact we're a product company that cares about personal development. And so, as I was last fall, I'm working on this and understanding that man, our mission is we give you permission to be unabashedly yourself unless you're an asshole. That is for our staff and our customers. And, I saw it for the first time in 2016 with our customers where I would watch people at a trade show go up. They would look at our sunglasses and they would pick the black ones at first and they would put them on. And they would put the black ones back and they'd pick donkey goggles, bright orange. And they would put those on. They would smile and they realized they buy them because they're $25. And for $25, they could be unabashed themselves. They could buy the fun sunglasses that they wanted. And then internally, we've always celebrated individuality. There's not work Steven and home Steven. They're just Steven. And so in this world, I realize I'm like, I want to make sure everybody inside this building understands that our mission is not just for staff. It's for customers and our team. And in that being like, all right, our brand focus in 2025 is customer connection and is how do we create a deeper connection with our staff and our customers? Because with the exception, Shaun, of the Cabana, customer service and sales, no other team here talks or touches our customer. And that's a wild thing to think about. And so how do we fix that?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think has been the biggest challenge in shifting that focus toward our customers and our consumers?
What do you think it is? Let me give you my answer because we ripped about it off mic, but then I want to hear your answer.
Okay, cool.
I think the simplest answer is we've never done it before. In 2020, internal focus, clarity, transparency. 2021, vision. 2022, scalability, NASA. 2023, fundamental excellence. This is the first time it wasn't internally focused on our people. It's the first time it's externally focused. And when it's internally focused, every team universally, it's easy for them. They can apply it to whatever they're doing. When it's external, not everybody, a lot of people just do this thing where they're like, well, like my job doesn't touch the customer. So like, I don't have to do this. That's the feeling that I get. Yeah. So I think that at the simplest level, it's because we've never done it before. And there's like kind of like a thrashing that's happened, but there's many layers deep. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. Well, maybe that's it, right? At the start, there's a resistance to change because it's not immediately obvious how, my role in learning and development connects to our customers, right? And so same thing for many, many folks who aren't on the few teams you mentioned who have direct access to customers. And I've experienced this myself and seen the other leaders kind of doing that thought exercise. But once you get through the first 8 bad ideas, you find a few great ones, and you realize, oh, we actually are connected to, maybe it's indirect, maybe I'm supporting someone who's connecting our customer, but how can I take whatever that is, build that bridge, and then go from typical to remarkable there? So I think, yes, that first challenge of just getting through the it doesn't apply to me, right? And then figuring out, well, how does it? Let's assume it does. How does it?
Yeah, I think that I will add another reason why. I have been the CEO and interim CFO for the vast majority of the year. I have had a lot on my plate, and usually I am the one steering this and being like, bringing it to life. And I haven't been. And so it's not had my attention. And so because of that, because it's so difficult, it's so new. And because I haven't been there steering it, I also think that is a huge component. As of recently, I've changed that and made people have it as a primary focus, but I also think that's a contributing factor here.
That's a great call too. Right. Because if you're not there to constantly bring everyone's attention to it and support it with talks and other things that keep our focus on it, it's naturally going to drift away. And if there's already that resistance, it's going to be doubly hard.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I would like to not be the case.
For sure. Well, I think what happened was the thing that you set up initially, the Operation Consumer Connect, where everyone did literally connect with a consumer directly.
Yeah.
That thing was great and it did create an awesome touch point. So, but right about the time we were wrapping that up, maybe that's kind of where the momentum stopped. And so to recognize that was a good insight on your part and be like, oh, we need to do more than just that.
Yeah. And I think as I've reflected on it constantly, and one, I could not recommend enough if you have a company, lead a team, having a focus of a level up is so important. A thematic, whatever you can do, whether it's like, hey, we want to work this on transparency or professional. It's a really great way to like hone focus. So I really do recommend this. I underestimated how different this was. Like I didn't think it, I conceptually didn't actually think it through in all the ways we're talking about either. If I'm, in the world of ownership and understanding it, I'm a person who usually like kind of thinks things through and walks it. I missed a huge data point, which is all the other themes everyone can universally apply to everything they do. And this this they cannot,
Right.
One is it is an apple and an orange. We've had 4 apples and then this is an orange. And I didn't see that.
Right. You're like, it's fruit. It's fine. You got it. Go from, take it away.
yeah, 100%. 100%.
Right. People are like, we're used to working with apples. So what now?
And so, one thing that going into our 3rd trimester, realizing this, I made it mandatory that all the senior leaders, so all the flock stars, all the flock leaders have an AMP focus that is, hey, how are you bringing customer connection to life inside of your team? Mm-hmm. And that one shift right there is like, everybody's like, oh, okay, I need to create a deliverable around this. And that just, it went, we went 0 to 60 because of a simple shift like that. Because at the core here, everybody wants to do good work. And sometimes you just need to create an accountability checkpoint for that.
Exactly right. I think that's value to our listeners here, right? Like excellent advice to have a thematic focus. The ability to put that into an action system that will then ripple through the organization is what actually brings it to life, right?
Yeah. And I think for example, Shaun, give an example. Your team does not, you're learning, your team's learning and development.
Yeah.
You don't interact with our customers. There's really no reason. And a lot of, I want everybody to understand the goodr consumer is what specifically we're talking about. And the goodr consumer is the person who wears our sunglasses. Because Shaun's customer is technically the entire staff of goodr. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the consumer. So talk about where you all netted out with how you can, what are the projects that your team's working on now to connect with the consumer?
Sure.
And help the brand.
Yeah, absolutely. So our bread and butter is helping people level up skills of any kind, right? So we started there. We're like, okay, well, how, right? How can we do a level up that will create that connection point? So one of the ideas we had, Kevin over at the Cabana, he's always hosting, run residencies, cycling events, different kinds of events where groups will gather at the Cabana. So that is our consumer right there coming to meet us at a place that they're at. And then certain members of our staff, usually the Cabana staff, are there for that, right? But there's not a real easy way to bring someone else from office side in to provide support to the Cabana folks and then also interact with consumers. But if we were to provide a track where they could, as a part of their mastery, learn, make sure they got the brand points in the back pocket, focus on a little small talk, and then get out there and be supportive to Cabana staff and then connect with our consumers directly. That's one thing that we can do, right? Another side is external partners. Like it is really challenging to come out from the outside and learn to work with goodr the way we like to work. Start meetings on time, follow up next actions, just kind of the basic stuff. So how can we provide more connection to all the folks who are interacting with us supportively, right? Supportive to setting expectations and providing level ups of skill. So those were two that just right off the top, it was like, oh, we can kind of build this bridge and smooth out that process while also creating an opportunity for connection.
Yeah. And then I think also right in there is, how do we get more intentional in onboarding about educating new people about our consumers? Because it's kind of been, we really haven't had that inside of our onboarding. And so that was also another opportunity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Left out the big main default one, which is right. The thing we all went through as a brand together. We keep that going with our new folks on board. So just like you get a shift in the cabana, you go visit the DC. You also connect with the consumer, do an interview, and then present back to your class. What you learned through that experience. So that keeping that alive, and also like you say, in every possible training that we can, we're offering a lens of like, well, why is this exciting? Who cares about this and why? And how can we create more connection through it?
Yeah, I was talking with a couple teams about this, and I want to even acknowledge this. This is a hard thing. Imagine any company that you're in. You are on an accounting team. You're like, how the fuck? I don't talk to the customer, and it's like
right.
And so, at the simplest level, man, we have a store that we own, and so if nothing else fails, if everybody on your team just once every 6 months went and spent an hour at our store talking to our customers, that right there would satisfy the need to understand. Or if it was if leaders were having it as a topic of conversation inside of meetings, really the whole exercise here is like, how do we just recreate a practice of the importance of our customers is really the art here. And you can feel like how there has been a big shift in this.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been an easy road, but
for sure,
we're turning it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and this is pretty new, so you might not have an answer, but just curious if you've seen anything where there's like this focus has helped to shift projects or a future direction, maybe from some new insight or just the way that we might approach something differently from having applied this focus to multiple teams at once.
Yeah, there's a few things. How we brief anything product and marketing wise has completely changed. It is from a customer standpoint, we are leading with the customer. We are every opportunity is like, what is the customer opportunity? So there's some pretty seismic shifts in that world that I've seen, which is very exciting. I think this was already in the works, but we had a huge customer research project where we interviewed a bunch of our current customers. We understand who our customer is. So that was in the works. So that actually fell into this initiative. But what was cool about it, one of the things we heard the most from our consumers was they want a rewards program. We launched that in June.
Nice.
Which is very exciting. And then our research agency was in the building actually last week, and they heard about Operation Consumer Connect, about how we are having everybody at goodr interview a customer. So they're like, wait, we've worked with thousands of customers, and we've actually never even heard of a company doing this. This is incredible.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, so it's super cool. I think my biggest takeaway from all of this is thinking it through, and if I was to do it over, I think I would have just put in more milestones along the way of like hey, having leaders show the work along the way, and knowing it's so difficult. Maybe creating some more like help and structure, because that's I think where the opportunity would have been, is to if I could have seen how difficult it was, I would have put in some smaller milestones along the way to get us there.
Yeah. So not being able to predict the future is very common to us all as human beings. What do you think as you look to the future? We're headed toward the end of the year here. You don't have to have a solid answer on next brand focus, but what you've learned from this one, how does that inform the way you approach the next time around?
For sure. We're already working on it right now. Talking to people. I think that when you start a company, when you start goodr, there is any number of things you focus on, right? You start at the very beginning, you're just hyper focused on figuring out how to make the product. And then once that happens, we're hyper focused on just selling it, marketing. And then we hired a staff, and then we are hyper focused on people. And we were just recording an episode about our anchors, right? So we are a product company, product and marketing, and people. And I love the culture aspect of it. I believe to my core, we spend more time with like working sometimes with our loved ones. And so I'm always committed to making the best workplace possible. Not the easiest. I want to challenge people. I want them to grow, but like a very rewarding one. And so you in 17, 18, 19, and 20 invested so much energy in making that here. And I would say, from a focus standpoint, it was like the era of our people. And we have a juggernaut of a culture, like our like AMP and TWC and goodr. And so we were in the era of, our era of our team. And I would say now we are in the era of our customer. And so as I look forward, moving like the focus will be customer related as we move forward. Like we are now in that era.
Yeah, for sure. And then, everything you just said that you're like, I wish I knew, you can use that to apply it to the next thing, huh?
That is the perfect point that we can end on is I learned so many valuable lessons here. We gotta do a version of this over again to help everybody out, to make this even more impactful, not only for our team, but for our customers.
Exactly. Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Stephen. Thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, be excellent to each other.